Mr. Lee.
Sure. I have some questions on Burundi, many of which I sent to your office on Friday and were not answered. One has to do with this Note Verbale between the UN and the government of Burundi, where it says that 9 officials are not to be deployed, but says that the rest of the things can be deployed, but will be subject to the full cooperation of the government of Burundi with the UN system. And as you know, on Saturday there was a protest in Burundi at which it was mandatory to attend the protest if you're a government official. And the UN has been accused by the chairman of the ruling party of having distributed weapons in connection with what they say is a plot against them. So I wanted to know a couple of things. Also, finally, I just want to get your answer to this. There's a French company called OMP Solutions, which is online, saying that it sold uniforms and provided services for pay in connection with the Burundian deployment. So I wanted to know how many UN missions this French company, they're promoting it, and many in Burundi now allege that the fact that the head of peacekeeping is from France and that this company is openly selling services only to Francophone Africa deployments creates a conflict of interest. So those are the questions.
I don't know about the company. We can try to find out. You can look on the procurement website to see if they do any business with the UN. As far as any link between conflict of interest between the fact that the head of peacekeeping is French and that the company may be French, I think is completely out of the question. Mr. Ladsous is an international civil servant. There are a lot of companies that do business with the UN where its nationals are also there. So I think that's a
one follow-up on that.
To me, that's a non-issue. We've seen these reports of accusing the UN of participating in weapons trafficking. I can tell you that we obviously categorically deny any allegations of weapons trafficking in Burundi, which are untrue, without basis, and extremely dangerous. The UN has been working to support the Burundian people with extensive humanitarian development efforts, and has also been supporting efforts to find a political solution to the crisis in Burundi.
The reason for the follow-up is that the letter, this Note Verbale, which was never announced from your platform, but the Intercity Press obtained it and published it on Wednesday, said it goes against what the panel of experts proposed, which was to not use Burundian peacekeepers anymore due to the human rights issues. And so clearly somebody, and I think you should be able to say this, who overrode the human rights, given rights up front and other things?
Let me take a look. I haven't seen the Note Verbale. Let me take a look at it.
I want to ask you about Yemen, but I want to be sure to ask you something that, again, was also submitted Friday without answer. So I want to ask you, on the brother of Ban Ki-moon, Mr. Ban Ki-ho, and KD Power Company, now found there's a letter. They joined the Global Compact, and the signator for KD Power was Ban Ki-ho. They've been expelled from the Global Compact as of 21st September 2015. So given what the Secretary General has said about the Global Compact, does he find it anything ironic that his brother's company, for which he signed a letter, has been expelled? And two, the brother, you'd said, Ferhan in your absence had said, ask these questions about the mining in Myanmar and the UN delegation to the companies. I've now written to the email address that's on the brother's thing, and there's no response.
My understanding is that the Secretary General's brother no longer works for the company. I think the Secretary General would expect the Global Compact to enforce its rules in the same manner with every company, whether his brother had worked for the company or had not. I think the Secretary General welcomes the Global Compact's conducting of its and enforcing of its rules and regulations blindly.
Given the still unresolved issue of, while he was engaged in mining in Myanmar, his mentioning by a government website as being a part of a UN delegation in the country, I'd like to ask you just factually, when's the last time Ban Ki-moon spoke with his brother?
I have no clue.
Okay.
Hamid.
I want to ask about Yemen and the Englap Seng case and the superseding indictment. In Yemen, there have been various reports that the envoy is now starting a new round where he will actually meet with President Hadi in Muscat. Is that your understanding? And what's different about the proposal he's putting forward now to the one that was rejected 2 weeks ago?
You know, obviously, proposals are adjusted constantly to try to meet the agreement of both parties based on universal, on principles that the UN can agree on. I'm not going to get into the minutia of what he's changing, what he's not changing. Obviously, the envoy is not giving hope and is continuing to go about his work, trying to get the parties back to the table.
Okay. And I wanted to ask, in the what was once called the John Ash case, is now the Englap Seng case, a superseding indictment was filed last week, which, at least as regards to the UN, says that this South-South News entity paid one of the two individuals charged with bribery at the UN in cash to evade taxes. This is part of there's other things in it. But since you've said that you're following the case closely, what is the UN or OLA's response to this new indictment? And can you answer a question that I sent to you on Friday? One of the UN officials named in their official capacity in the OIOS audit, is it fair, do you consider it fair to ask whether travel to various places is in fact paid by the UN or not paid by the UN? And if so, can you answer the question that was submitted to your office and verify?
You know, if a trip, I don't recall the question. I know you sent it. I just don't.
So if
I
a
don't remember
USG goes to get a personal award in Catalonia, can this be paid by the UN or is it not paid by the UN?
I'm not aware of the particular case.
Send you the link.
Obviously, there are rules and regulations which are followed.
On Uganda, there's been some pretty publicized fighting between the government and I guess a national border kingdom in the country. 55 people dead, a journalist arrested, and I wanted to know whether the UN has anything to say about that, if the resident coordinator's gotten involved. And separately, but I forgot to ask you this on Burundi, there's reports of a letter from the opposition, CNA Red and others, the Rassemblement des Démocrates Burundais, to Ban Ki-moon asking for a UN mediator to replace President Museveni of Uganda, as saying that this has led nowhere.
I'll check. I have not seen the letter, and I don't have anything on Uganda. Thank you.